All right, Donal. Well, thanks very much, first of all, for joining myself today on the call. Be good to get on and have a little bit of chat about maybe the unit and gameplay, and maybe some synergies between the two of us. Bit of your background and the company journey. Suppose first of all, I know maybe not myself and yourself personally, but there's a bit of background between your previous life with Bannock and working with Paddy Casey on a few projects there. You've known each other for quite a while now. I don't know if you want to give a little bit of background on who you are, what maybe those projects were. I suppose the startup journey so far, the origin story of gameplay, and how it's come to be to what it is today.
Yeah, sure. So, on a personal level, I'm somewhat of an industry veteran, I'd say, at this stage, Mark. So I was at Paddy Power for a number of years, in more of an international kind of guise, looking at opportunities for the business to scale beyond Ireland and the UK as it was at that point. It's obviously gone from strength to strength in the intervening years. But whilst there, I met a number of friends who subsequently went on to form Bannock Technology, which was effectively taking the concept and pricing and modeling capabilities that we had deployed within Paddy Power and making it available as a B2B business. So our perspective was that there was a whole tranche of the industry that weren't putting as much investment into modeling and trading as Paddy Power, or as much emphasis maybe. And if we could apply that in a B2B sector, then there would be a huge amount of opportunities for us, particularly with the emergence of new products like Bet Builder, etc. So that's what we did, and the unit were a huge support to us in that. In the sense that Bannock would have very much focused on the engine and the pricing capabilities, and we would have very much leaned on the unit to support us in terms of front end capabilities. So building like front end widgets for the Bet Builder. So that's where I met Paddy and the lads first. They're obviously vastly experienced within the industry, and it's very rare to meet a dev house that has the development capabilities, but also the subject matter expertise to complement it. So, yeah, it's been brilliant and great to see you guys have gone from strength to strength, but no surprise from our experience, really. So, um, obviously, when I moved on then with the gameplay
Yeah.
product, then the unit was the obvious point of reference for us in terms of support on the development side.
You were maybe previously flying a bit under the radar with gameplay, and then up last year there was quite a big announcement with the fundraise, the Superbet deal, and a few other things going on. I suppose that was probably a big, I suppose, marker for you as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, our experience with gameplay is probably very good. A lot of startups, both within our industry and beyond it, it's establishing that foothold. So you have a concept and you have a product, but I suppose the key is an ability to validate it. So we've been very fortunate in terms of the willingness of partners like Superbet to partner with an emerging business like ourselves, because that's always a challenge, right? It's a big risk for a big company to impart the responsibility, particularly around trading, because trading is so fundamental, and if it goes wrong, then it can have detrimental impact on the bottom line. So we've been very, very fortunate that we've had really good support from people like Sasha, Ivan Gocic at Superbet. They've been huge advocates of ours, and that obviously led on to then our ability to secure the investment, which is obviously paramount importance in terms of the stage we were at in terms of our maturity. So that's been the catalyst for growth throughout 2024. So on the back of Superbet, we've been fortunate to add the likes of Betson, Bedano, Skybet, amongst others. And we have more in the pipeline, which we'll, hopefully be able to announce shortly. But it's been brilliant. It's not without its challenges, like all starts, particularly on the pricing side. You're in the heat of battle quite quickly, and any issues that you might have or any modeling flaws that you might have are quickly exposed. So it's look, it's been a steep learning curve, but it's been great. And as I said, we've been very fortunate with the caliber of partners that we have. They've been hugely supportive, particularly the product and trading functions, which are, in my view, remain the engine room of sports books. And we've been very fortunate with the caliber of people we've worked with across each of our partners, and they've made us steadily better, I suppose, over the last 12 months. And the plan is for 2025 to scale the team further and hopefully scale on the commercial side as well.
We may be operating in different products or different services between the unit and gameplay, but the journey maybe has quite similar, a few synergies along the way. I suppose one big aspect that we're looking forward to 2025 is maybe expanding our footprint a little bit. Like you said, with gameplay, you may be looking to add to your commercial team and maybe build a team. We're maybe looking to expand internationally, maybe focusing a little bit more on the States, LATAM, and a few others. I know you mentioned you've added a couple of new clients in similar regions. I suppose what's the main attraction, or how do you see you've fared against competitors in those regions, and why maybe have to selected yourselves to work with?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like Brazil is a really interesting one in the sense of, there's so much expectations associated with it, but in many respects, it's been a market that's been active in a light grey mode for many years.
Yeah.
The US is probably a bit more mature now, obviously post PASPA, so there's a little bit more known about that market. We've applied for a license in the States. We've been sanctioned with four so far.
Mhm.
So our ambition is to get licensed in the remaining seven in the coming weeks, and that's an ongoing process. That in itself is quite an overwhelming task, I would say, at times for a business of our size, just to try and run the business in parallel whilst trying to get licensed. But it's been excellent, and again, from a sports perspective, we are offering NFL, we're offering MLB, we're offering NBA, but also WNBA college. So it's been brilliant for us broadening the breadth of product that we offer. And also from a sports perspective, being enabling us to be quite creative with the types of markets that we're offering. One of the primary B2B suppliers within that market was SimpleBet, obviously, with their micro markets, and they've done a really good job of kind of owning that space. But obviously, since their sale to DraftKings, is maybe the expectation is maybe DraftKings will look to take that functionality and an IP wholly in house. So our expectation is that there's likely to be opportunities within that space, in particular in 2025 and beyond. So that's an area really key focus for us. So hopefully after the initial 11 licenses, and the ambition will be to scale further. But obviously, there's a significant cost associated with that, both in terms of capital and also team, as you know, being deployed out in the US and just growing that, I suppose, that brand equity, which takes time to build.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose we've felt that a little bit ourselves. We've had a couple of clients obviously join us in North America the last few years, but that definitely we're trying to get more of a foothold there as well. So it's likewise, you mentioned Brazil. That's another sport focus area for everyone in the industry. Really, it's been a hot topic for the last couple of years. We've been doing some work with Sporting Tech and their brands in the Brazilian market towards the back end of last year and into this year, and definitely excited to see how things go there. With regulation taking off. Suppose with your product, I'm not sure if there's any learnings you've taken from the Brazilian market with any of the big events over the last year, Copa America, for example, that maybe surprised you or wasn't expected from your past experiences.
Yeah, well, actually, we're working very closely with Opta on soccer player props, and I think we've taken a lot of learning from the market in terms of how popular the props are. Now, obviously, players and the types of markets that you can create in US sports lend itself maybe a bit more to the player prop betting, but from a soccer perspective or football perspective, as we say, um, football players are becoming more and more of paramount importance, particularly in terms of the localization impact, right? So, Opta have invested significantly in kind of the granularity of the data which they generate for the Brazilian leagues. And that's enabled us then to, generate a lot of player orientated markets, both within the domestic Brazilian league, but also for Brazilian players playing, internationally in the Premier European League. So that's been a real focus for us. That's driven very significant engagement for the operators with whom we're partnering with in Brazil. So again, in terms of where our innovation is going to be focused in 2025, it's very much honing down on those player markets, trying to understand the Brazilian customer a little bit better and understanding what they engage with. But yeah, that's Opta have been hugely supportive. They've been a great partner for us. So that's going to be a primary area of focus for us, both in terms of Brazil specifically, but also optimizing the types of player markets that we're able to serve in that region.
In terms of innovation, then obviously you mentioned maybe growing that partnership with Opta and maybe using their data a little bit more. Are there any other sort of innovations, new products, maybe in the pipeline for 2025 that you'd be able to share? Or
Yeah, like I think on the player markets is like we have a new contextual betting for football that's currently live with Sky Bet, which enables us to generate markets in response to a given game state. So, for instance, if Haaland has had his second shot off target, the price instantly serve it. His next shot would be on target, and maybe double it up with over under shots target for the game. So trying to be more contextual as opposed to just kind of generic market serve throughout. So we're learning a lot from that in terms of how fans engage with it. But that's been a big focus in terms of being more relevant. We're also trying to generate cross-league betting again from the Opta data, where you're able to, bet on player performance. So it's nearly like fantasy football, where you're betting on the performance maybe of a player who's competing in the Brazilian league against the player in the English Premier League, etc. So yeah, I think there's a lot of more recreational orientated markets is where our focus is, because that's where that's where the appetite is from the operator's perspective. And very much obviously the operators with whom we're working are kind of driving the initiatives in terms of the roadmap. So that remains a focus. And beyond that, European basketball, kind of markets that we feel have been maybe underinvested from a product perspective in the past, remain a focus as well. And we'll be doing similar for the likes of the NBA with the contextual markets as well. So there's a lot going on. We have a little bit of a gap now between the resumption of NFL 25-26. So again,
yeah.
NFL and college in the new season will be a big focus for us. So yeah, there's a lot of strands going on in terms of new product to bring to the market.
How does your AI modeling pricing at Gameplay differ from the current competition in your field? And what are the real benefits of it? How difficult was that to maybe prove yourself against other suppliers with maybe a little bit more of a longer track record?
So our big focus is on automation. Everything we do is automated. We don't have any traders. So what we do is look to work with the partners whom we have. We look to build maybe a trading interface, which their traders can adjust pricing if necessary in response to the liquidity that they're seeing from their customers, particularly around player props. Um, the market moves very quickly, but if a player is named in a position, so traditionally he plays maybe left full and he's named kind of left midfield, or his propensity to cross obviously greatly increases, etc., etc. So when you're fully automated, obviously it's hard to detect that, so it only becomes apparent with the flow of liquidity that you see. So in terms of where we're probably different is just that emphasis on automation. And our ability is to enable traders to do more value-added tasks from an operator perspective, as opposed to being overly kind of consumed with manual effort. So we're trying to absolve as much of the manual effort associated with traditional trading rooms as possible, and allow the traders to focus on more value-added tasks. So that's kind of the objective from our perspective. I think we've done that with the micro market solution. We've done it with player props in conjunction with our partners, obviously. Our next product to market will be Bet Builder, which is obviously less price sensitive because of the margin association with Bet Builders. But yeah, that's everything that we're focused on is automation, and I suppose that's the big point of difference for us, and it just allows us to be more scalable. And I think that's the most compelling prospect from our perspective in terms of our ability to grow the business.